Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is the author of the book Human Rights and Peace, a personal odyssey, no other than Miss Zafra Lerman.
Hi,
Welcome to Book 101, Miss Zafra. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
introduce myself. I am
Yes.
a scientist, an educator, a human rights activist, and a peace activist. This summarizes what I'm doing.
And Miss Safra Lerman, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Why frame happiness as a technology of what human rights advocate, Miss Zafra? Can you tell us why you are a human rights and peace advocate?
I think it has to do with the way I grew up and the values that were instilled in me from a very young age to care for other people that might need help even if it doesn't benefit me or even risk my life. And it started when I was 6 years old. I was already in first grade alone because I graduated from kindergarten in 1 year. In one day, I didn't want to continue to go after the first day, so I went to first grade. And for my sixth birthday, my father put on my shoe a envelope with a letter, and the letter said, "I hope you will grow up to be loyal to your country, to your nation, and to your family," in this order. "And for your birthday, I give you a certain amount of money that you will divide to three. One third you will give to all the children that lost their parents and they are orphans. One
Mm.
third you will give to plant trees in the country. And one third you can do what you want. And when you grow up like that, you know that you came to the planet to make it a better place than when you are."
A better place to live, indeed. And thank you, Ms. Safra, for your advocacy to the world. What is the central argument or message of human rights and peace, and how does it refrain the relationship between these two concepts?
Eh, they really are quite related to each other because usually a lot of countries that are at war are abusing human rights too. Countries that are not at war are abusing human rights, and when you want to make the planet a better place, you want everybody to be free and live in happiness. And for everybody to be free and live in happiness, the people that their human rights is abused, that are in labor camp or jail, you have to bring them to freedom. And the people that their countries are at war with each other, you want to do everything you can to bring peace to this part of the world. And I'm concentrating mainly for the last 20 years in the Middle East.
Does your book argue that human rights are prerequisite for sustainable peace, that peace enable human rights, or that they are independent?
No, in the book, they are independent, there are different chapters. They describe how I, as a woman, could go alone in dark alleys in the Soviet Union to meet dissidents, what was illegal in the Soviet Union. Uh, they were scientists, the people I worked on their human rights. Then we collected many more dissidents and went to a dark attic 2 a.m. I gave a seminar what was illegal in the Soviet Union. I distributed scientific material, was illegal, and I collected all the CVs and resumes to bring back to work on their behalf. And my pleasure is to see how many of these people are walking free and are free citizens. And I know that I risked my life for their freedom, but I achieved what I wanted. And
Congratulations. Congratulations, Miss
thank,
Safra, for achieving your goals in life.
thank you
How,
very
how do you define peace in the context of your work? Is it merely absence of war or something more robust or
much.
involving justice and dignity?
Peace is more than just not war. Peace is involving justice and dignity and understand that all of us on this planet belong to the same humanity. We are all human. There is more what unites us than what separates us. And when I bring these people, what the conferences that I run do, they bring together scientists from all the countries in the Middle East. Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, the Palestinians, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, all the countries that really don't have a chance to meet with each other for 5 days under the same roof with several Nobel laureates. And these people can see that there is so much what unites them than what separates them. And they can see that they don't have to demonize the unknown other, that everybody is the same. And they develop scientific collaborations on issues that are very important to the region and to the world, like water, for example. The nature and the environment don't recognize the lines on the map, the borders. So the aqueducts for water go underground from one country to the other. They don't know where are the borders. And in order to solve the problems, the people have to work together and solve problems in order to make life easier for all people that live in the area. And it's amazing to see how at the end of the conference, you feel like a family reunion ended. People have tears in their eyes, hugging, kissing, saying goodbye. So it's a proof that we can all live in peace.
Yes, peace on earth, people. Let Mother Earth have peace. And, well, of course, people that people live in. And Ms. Safra, how do unequal power dynamics, systemic oppression, or unjust political or economic structure simultaneously violate human rights and undermine peace according to your analysis?
Um, I feel that politicians are interfering in the good life of the people. I feel that the animosity is really not between people, it's between governments. And that the fact that if we will have many people that realize this fact and would like to work together towards peace, we will be able to achieve it despite the politician. People having there in the Soviet Union, people have the human rights abused because they asked to leave the country. This is why they were fired, why they were sent to labor camp, and this is why I worked hard to help these people. They didn't commit any crime, but their human rights was abused.
Definitely. And Ms. Zafra, as an author, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
My short term goal is to have as many people as possible read my book because they can see how much one person can do to make the world a better place. And if we can have many people that will join to work on human rights, will join to work towards peace, we will have a better world. So my short goal is to have more people joining the the effort. My book is a memoir, and it starts with how I grew up. But it's a book for women to see that women can do everything exactly like men. I did things that men were afraid to do, and I did them. And I want women to realize that they have the power to do all these things. So the book is talking to a lot of kind of people. Uh, I don't have an American accent because I was not born here. The book shows that you can be an immigrant and do a lot of good to the country and the world, and that immigrants are needed. And this is another part that I want people to get from my book. In addition, there is a chapter. I believe that science education is a human rights too that belongs to all. Because if we keep a big part of the population away from science, we really are forming two, two class societies that are divided not by royalty but by knowledge of science and technology, and we should not do it. So I developed special ways to teach science through art, music, dance, drama, rap, animation, what you want, poetry. And there is a big chapter in the book that shows how everybody can learn science. And it's important that everybody will have a background, even just to understand an article in the newspaper, to understand what does it mean that they are enriching uranium. What does this word mean? So
Yes. Miss Safra, we salute you for empowering us. For sure, this will be your legacy to the world. How does your book address the tension between state and sovereignty in non reference and international communities?
I don't think that this is what my book addressed. My book stays away, and I try to stay away from politics.
Yes.
So I, my book shows what everybody can do to achieve peace and to help people that their human rights were abused. But I'm staying completely away from politics and
Politics.
these issues. I think politics is what is destroying us now.
Definitely. And Ms. Zavra, does prioritizing human rights during active conflict sometimes inadvertently prolong violence or hinder humanitarian access?
You touch a very tough question. And under conflicts, we have everything. We have humanitarian problems, we human rights problems, and
Yes,
uh, conflicts are terrible as we see it now. Now we live through several conflicts, and we can see people are starving, people are dying in several parts of the world because of the wars. And my my hope is that I can form a, in order to have an atom bomb, you need the critical mass of uranium or plutonium to start a chain reaction. I want to have a critical mass of people that will start a chain reaction for peace. And if I can get more people involved, I hope that what we see now, we will be able to stop seeing in the future. And I'm devoting my life to that.
Well, we salute you for that, Miss Zafra. And can you please recommend a books or book that influenced your journey?
Books that influenced me,
Yes.
I love uh, biographies or memoirs.
Okay. Okay.
And I read the memoirs of Albert Einstein, not
Einstein.
memoir, by book. Albert Einstein was my hero since I was 6 years old. So I read so many books about him. The book that inspired me to become a scientist was the book about Marie Curie, Madame Curie.
Madam Curie, yes.
Madame Curie, and I still recommend it to a lot of people to read. Another book that inspired me is the book about Andrei Sakharov, that once everybody knew his name, but now when I talk to the students in universities in the US, they don't know who is Andrei Sakharov. So just to make sure that our listeners know, Andrei Sakharov was the father of the hydrogen bomb in the Soviet Union, but he became a peace activist and a human rights activist. He was sent to Gorky, so he could not interact with people. He was practically isolated as a result of all that. He received the Nobel Peace Prize, but the Soviet refused to let him come and accept it. And I was lucky to meet with him.
Nice.
And he did not speak English, so we had a translator that was attached to him and he knew him very well. But what he told me is take a crash course in Russian because you don't know who will be your translator if you take it. And I followed it. And I took a crash course, therefore I could go by myself because I could speak Russian as a result. The second advice he gave me is never let off the pressure on government where there are people that their human rights is abused, and I always lived by his credo.
Well, thank you for that recommendation, Miss Safra. Truly, truly empowering books. And how can human rights principles foster everyday peace, reducing interpersonal violence, discrimination, and social exclusion in communities?
How? You are asking a very tough question that if I would have the answer to that, we would not have the situation that we have now. A lot of people believed that when the Soviet Union fell, there will not be any more problems in the world, no more human rights abuses, no more problems. I can tell you that there is now many, many more
Many,
human
yes.
rights abuses in
True.
many, many more countries than before. And sadly, and I'm saying sadly, that the number of people that try to help the people that their human rights is abused is very small. People are more concentrated in themselves than thinking about somebody that is languishing in other side of the world, and why should it affect their wonderful life? And this is where the problem is. I feel that if we would put in the education more things, teaching from young age to care for others, we would have a different world if we could do that. In my classes, I used to tell my students every night when you go to sleep, think if you did something good for somebody else, not for yourself. And if you did, you had a very good day.
Yes. Well said, Miss Zafra. Well said. Beautifully, beautifully articulated. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, my other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Safra, if you had to explain to a young person why protecting human rights is essential for creating a truly peaceful world, what would you say?
I would tell a young person that might not understand exactly what human rights means. I would teach a young person that to care for other people, to care for animals, to care for what is going on around. If a young person grows up to care for others and not to bully the other kids in their class, but to care, to protect, then they will grow up to help human rights too. But it has to start in a young age to teach the kids not only that they should have everything that they see and enjoy everything, but they should know that there are other that don't have all that, and maybe they should help. I remember when we grew up, I grew up in a developing country, and I remember that we barely had toys, but we were told to share our toys with others.
Yes.
We were taught to do it, and we did it because we understood that we have to share if somebody doesn't have anything. And this is very important, and it's very hard in the US that the kids have everything in the world to understand that just I live in Evanston, Illinois, next to Northwestern University. So it's the north side of Chicago, but the south side of Chicago is very different. And this is where I spent a lot of years to try to teach them through art, music. As I said, I taught homeless kids, I taught prisoners, and they all were successful. But we need
Wow.
more people to be ready to go and teach homeless kids at night or to teach prisoners when they are having some time allowed to go and take a class.
Well, Miss Safra, again, we salute you for bringing your legacy to the world. And can you please invite our listeners to support your memoir itself, Human Rights and Peace, A Personal Odyssey by Miss Safra Lerman. Miss Safra, can you please invite our listeners to support
Oh,
your
to
memoir?
support the book. First,
Yes,
I
please.
wanted to say that all the proceeds of the books, I don't take a penny. It all goes towards my project for peace in the Middle East. So as we sell more books, we have more money because we have to pay for all the people that we bring together for all their expenses. So as people will buy more of the books, it will help our peace efforts. If you read my book, please write a review on Amazon because this is important too. And if you would like to support the effort of peace, our website is Malta Conferences Foundation.org. Again, Malta Conferences Foundation.org.
.org.
And there is a page that you can donate if you want.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Zafra Lerman because if you support her, for sure, more and more and more empowering advocacy to come, more and more empowering books as well to come, and for sure, more and more empowering human rights advocates to come. So, Miss Zafra, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me on your show. It was a pleasure.
More to come, people. See you soon.